All right, guys, we got some major breaking news. This is all over the internet. It just came out. Top headline on Drudge. U.S. preps nuke bomber. 24-hour alert. Okay, here we go. Here's the story. This is off of Defense One, defense1.com. Exclusive. U.S. is preparing to put nuclear bombers back on 24-hour alert. If the order comes, it says, the B-52'S will return to a ready-to-fly posture not seen since the Cold War. Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana. The U.S. Air Force is preparing to put nuclear-armed bombers back on 24-hour ready alert, a status not seen since the Cold War ended in 1991. That means the long dormant concrete pads at the ends of this base's 11,000-foot runway, dubbed the Christmas tree for their angular markings, could once again find several B-52'S parked on them. And they're going to be laden with nuclear weapons and set to take off at a moment's notice. This is yet one more step in ensuring that we're prepared, General David Goldfield, Air Force Chief of Staff, said in an interview during his 6-day tour of Barksdale and other U.S. Air Force bases that support the nuclear mission. Quote, I look at it more as not planning for any specific event, but more for the reality of the global situation we find ourselves in and how we ensure we're prepared going forward. Goldfein and other senior defense officials stressed that the alert order had not been given, but that preparations were underway in anticipation that it might come. That decision would be made by General John Hyten, the commander of the U.S. Strategic Command, or General Laurie Robinson, the head of U.S. Northern Command. STRATCOM is in charge of the military's nuclear forces, and NORTHCOM is in charge of defending North America. Putting the B-52'S back on alert is just one of many decisions facing the Air Force as the U.S. military responds to a changing geopolitical environment that includes North Korea's rapidly advancing nuclear arsenal, President Trump's confrontational approach to Pyongyang, and Russia's increasingly potent and active armed forces. Goldfein, who is the Air Force's top officer and a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is asking his force to think about new ways that nuclear weapons could be used for deterrence or even combat. The world is a dangerous place, and we've got folks that are talking openly about use of nuclear weapons, he said. It's no longer a bipolar world where it's just us and the Soviet Union. We've got other players out there who have nuclear capability. It's never been more important to make sure that we get this mission right. During his trip across the country last week, Goldfein encouraged airmen to think beyond Cold War uses for ICBMs, bombers, and nuclear cruise missiles. Wow. Quote, I've challenged Air Force Global Strike Command to help lead the dialogue, help with this discussion about, quote, what does conventional conflict look like with a nuclear element? And quote, do we respond as a global force if that were to occur? And, quote, what are the options, he said. How do we think about it? How do we think about deterrence in that environment? Asked if placing B-52'S back on alert, as they were for decades, would help with deterrence, Goldfein said, it's hard to say. I'm sorry, he was asked if placing B-52'S back on alert would help deterrence. He said it's not hard to say, so he doesn't really know for sure. Really, it depends on who, what kind of behavior are we talking about, and whether they're paying attention to our readiness status, he said. Already, various improvements have been made to prepare Barksdale, home of the 2nd Bomb Wing and Air Force Global Strike Command, which oversees the service's nuclear forces, to return B-52'S to an alert posture. Near the alert pads, an old concrete building where B-52 crews during the Cold War would sleep, ready to run to their aircraft and take off at a moment's notice, is being renovated. Inside, beds are being installed for more than 100 crew members, more than enough room for the crews that would man bombers positioned on the 9 alert pads outside. There is a recreation room with a pool table, TVs, and shuffleboard table. Large paintings of the patches for each squadron at Barksdale adorn the walls of a large stairway. One painting, a symbol of the Cold War, depicts a silhouette of a B-52 with the words "Peace, the old-fashioned way" written underneath. At the bottom of the stairwell there is a Strategic Air Command logo, yet another reminder of the Cold War days when American B-52's sat at the ready on the runway outside. Those long, empty B-52 parking spaces will soon get visits by 2 nuclear command planes, the E-B4 4B and the Night Watch. Actually, the E-4B Night Watch and the E-6B Mercury, both which will occasionally sit alert there. During a nuclear war, the planes would become the flying command posts of the Defense Secretary and Stratcom Commander, respectively. If a strike order is given by the President, the planes would be used to transmit launch codes to bombers, ICBMs, and submarines. At least one of the 4 nuclear-hardened E-4Bs, formerly called the National Airborne Operations Center, but commonly known as the Doomsday Plane, is always on 24-hour alert. Now, they've said recently that this Doomsday Plane has actually been flying around, because you can actually find these planes, beacons on certain sites that track planes. I've watched a few videos that talked about this, but it goes on to say Barksdale and other bases with nuclear bombers are preparing to build storage facilities for a new nuclear cruise missile that is under development. During his trip, Goldfein received updates on the preliminary work for a proposed replacement for the 400-plus Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missiles and the new long-range cruise missile. Quote, "Our job is options," Goldfein said. We provide the best military advice and options for the Commander-in-Chief and the Secretary of Defense. Should the Stratcom Commander require or the Northcom Commander require us to be on a higher state of readiness to defend the homeland, then we have to have a place to put those forces. Wow. It says Marcus Weber is the global business editor for Defense One, where he writes about the intersection of business and national security. He has been covering defense and national security issues for more than a decade, previously as Pentagon correspondent for the Defense News and chief editor. That's the bio of the guy that just wrote this story. But like I said, this story was the top story on Drudge, the Drudge Report. If you look here, bam. And that means things are popping and we're getting ready for something big. So just this alert, get it out there. Share it on your social networks. Thumbs up the video. This is the Trumpet News, the Cool News Channel, and the BP News Channel. We will be live again tomorrow. Bookmark our site. Make sure you're subscribed. Enable instant notifications when you do subscribe by clicking the bell. That way you'll know when we go live, if there's any breaking news. If war breaks out, you're going to know it. You'll get an alert to the email that was associated with your YouTube channel. And if it's connected to your phone, your smartphone, you will be awakened in the middle of the night if something happens.
Our American way of life. Isn't it grand? Peace, freedom, and bacon and eggs. Seems perfect. But what if it's not? Friends, your future may not be as secure as you think. Where will you be when the atomic bombs fall? You can secure your family's future by reserving a spot in a state-of-the-art underground vault from Vaultec. That's right, Bob. Act now, and your family can wait out the horrors of nuclear devastation. And Doris, the vault will have all the amenities of your modern-day home, and it's attractive. And Sally, in the vault, you might meet that special someone. just as you would on the surface. And in a few short years, you and your fellow vault dwellers will repopulate our great country. And Billy, you'll have lots of swell kids to play with. Reserve your family spot in a state-of-the-art underground vault today. Sign up now and prepare for the future.